Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Amy here. Today we're going to be talking about my November wrap-up. I usually like to go back and look at my Goodreads to kind of help me remember some things about the books. But Goodreads is down at the moment, so we're going to be doing this on a wing and a prayer. Hopefully I can remember what's happening in these books. Okay, so we'll start at the beginning of the month. I read In the Blood by Lisa Unger. I actually listened to this via Audible. I gave this 4 stars. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I really liked how the ending played out. So this is about, if I'm remembering correctly, we're following Lana. Lana is a college student who takes care of this 11-year-old child who is like a very troubled, very bad child. We also have a backstory of one of Lana's friends going missing. So there's the mystery of that, and of course Lana is a suspect. I believe Lana was the last person that saw the friend. So we have that kind of in the backstory. Then we also have like this journal entry. We're following a woman. Her doctor has suggested that she write down like daily journal entries about how she's feeling, how she feels about her child, because she has a troublesome child. Like from birth, the child cried consistently, and then it led on to further things in the future. So we're getting like these journal entries from this mysterious woman. We don't know who she is. So there's kind of that story. So there was a lot going on. It's not hard to follow at all. I really enjoyed the narration. We get 2 narrators. We get one for Lana's character, and we get one for the journal entry of whoever this woman is. But it was a very interesting story. I was very pleased at the ending. I thought it was very clever of an ending. So we have sort of like 2 mysteries going on. Like, who is this mother and what does she have to do with either Lana or the story in general? Where has Lana's friend gone? Is she missing? Is she dead? We don't know. So anyway, it was a really good read. I highly recommend the audio. It is part of a series called The Hollows, I believe. Don't ask me how I'm remembering all this. I really don't know. All this is usually written down in my review of the book, but you do not have to read this in the series. It actually says in the synopsis somewhere that it can be read as a standalone. In fact, all the books in the series can be read as a standalone. So I'm not sure why I chose this one. This one came up, I believe, on my Audible for one of their sales that they were doing for buy one, get one, or 2 for 1 is a 2 for 1 credit kind of thing. And Lisa Unger is becoming like one of my favorite like thriller authors. So yeah, I chose this one just kind of randomly. But yes, it can be read as standalone. Then I picked up Wrath. This is by Ella James. I was hoping to have a physical copy in my hands, but you'll have a picture of it right here. This, y'all, shook me. Like, I feel like I still have a book hangover from this book. These 2 guys, oh my gosh, their story is heartwarming, heartbreaking. It's everything. It is everything. 5 stars, of course. This is about 2 guys that are stepbrothers. This is Josh and Ezra's story. Like I said, they're stepbrothers. Ezra's dad married Josh's mom. So Ezra has had a very difficult life leading up to current times. He is currently 17, I believe. Both him and Josh. He's had it pretty hard. He's mostly grown up with his mother. His mother was a very religious woman. So finding out that her son preferred boys over girls did not sit well with her. So Ezra experienced some horrible things in his past, leaving him with terrible PTSD. And then we have Josh. Josh is like the boy next door. Ezra calls him the do-gooder, DG. From the first moment they met, they don't even know who each other are, and Josh is trying to help Ezra. So as they find out that they're stepbrothers, they're living together in the same house for the school year. I believe it's their senior year. They get to know each other, and Josh is just trying to either be the stepbrother the best stepbrother that he can be, or he just wants to be Ezra's friend. He can see that Ezra is not that he's not right, but there's something that Josh can tell that Ezra is just sad about. So he just wants him to be okay. It's such a sweet story, and Ezra really does bully Josh a good bit in the first part of the book. Lots of trigger warnings here, so bullying, sexual abuse, drug abuse, all of the above kind of thing. But Ezra does bully Josh a good bit. Josh he knows he's gay. He just hasn't been out to his friends or his family yet. Ezra, on the other hand, is trying to fight his feelings that he has, but they both are much into each other, and watching them struggle or reading about them struggling, but between their two conflicts, Ezra just trying to fight the feelings, and Josh just trying to be, if anything, just a good stepbrother to Ezra. It was everything. It was everything. The story of these two guys. I mean, tears, heartbreak, heartwarming. It was everything. It's a pretty thick book. It was like 700 and something pages. I read this on Kindle Unlimited. I did order the book. I actually ordered a signed copy, and I actually contacted Ella James through Instagram, because it's been over a month since I purchased the book, and the money has already come out, and she has informed me that it has to go through like different processes, like it has to basically be bought from Amazon to get to her, and then she signs it, and then it goes back. It's like it's like going around in circles until like one day it'll get here. One day I will have my signed copy of Wrath, but until then, isn't this a beautiful cover though? I'm guessing this is Ezra as he's described in the book. And it's so Ezra. Y'all, highly recommend it if you haven't read it. Next, I had a buddy read this in the month of November. Ashley from Bent Bibliophiles and I read What She Knew by Jilly McMillan. Ever since Jilly McMillan's podcast episode on their podcast, I have been just like wanting to read all her books. This so far has been my favorite, but it's only been my second book of Jilly McMillan's. I have The Nanny on my shelf back there that I really would like to get to, maybe in January. But Ashley and I both read this, and we both loved it. It was both 5 stars for us. So we have a young mother, Rachel, who is walking her 8-year-old son, Ben, around Bristol Park, and he just asked if he could run ahead to the swings. And of course she's like, okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna give you a little bit of freedom. I'm right behind you, kind of thing. You know, any mother could do it. When she finally gets to the swings, Ben is not there. So here starts the story of missing Ben and what Rachel has to go through throughout the story. It is a pretty thick book, but it made sense. Like I didn't find that it was too long. Everything was there that needed to be there. And that's what I feel, in my opinion. So we follow Rachel and just, you know, how the public's treating her, calling her a bad mother and all these other things. Right somewhere in the middle, we get like a total plot twist. And I was just like, oh crap, where is this gonna, you know, what does this mean? Where is this gonna lead us to? So I really enjoy like having that. Like, does this have anything to do with Ben? Are we going to find out more about this subject? And then we also get the perspective from the detective that was on the case. We're actually following him through, I think it's like more of a future him, and he's telling us his story, and how it affected him, and how I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, we're getting his story, but we're getting it like through transcripts through his therapist. So Ben's case really did a number on our detective Clemo. Ashley and I really enjoyed the detective's point of view, and we really loved just how deeply he felt about this case and how it affected him. The ending was like completely like didn't see that coming. Very well done. If you haven't read Jilly McMillan yet, I highly recommend this one. Or if you've read Jilly McMillan and maybe haven't really liked what you read and just kind of been discouraged about picking something up, pick this up. I think you'll like it. Oh, and I did listen to this via audio, and the audio is fantastic. We get a voice for Detective Clemo as well as Rachel. Then I picked up Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. Really, really liked it. Not as much as the first one. It did have the podcast, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, in the book, so really loved that. But somewhere along the way, the podcast kind of got lost in the story, and I think that's why I dropped it down to a 4-star, because I really love the book and everything about the book, podcast within a book, but the ending didn't reflect the podcast. Like, the podcast just kind of like fell away. It just faded away somewhere in the book, and it never came back. So I'm hoping in the 3rd book we get more of the podcast, but it was still a great read. But in this one, one of Pip's good friend's brother goes missing, and the police are just not pulling their weight. They're not doing their job. So the mother and Pip's friend ask her to please step in and help look for Jamie. So even though Pip said she didn't want to do that, she was done with investigation, it was one podcast season and done, she decides to pick up the case and start a season 2 with her podcast of finding Jamie. Like I said, the podcast kind of like, I don't know where it went, just faded away. Like I said, hopefully we'll get more in the 3rd book. But yes, the story is just about looking for Jamie, what happened to Jamie, Pip getting information and evidence and interviewing people. It was great. It was great, just like the first one, but it just fell short just a little bit with the podcast, and I was a little disappointed on. But other than that, I loved it. I can't wait to see what she's up to in the 3rd book. Then I decided to start Want Me. This is by Nev Wilder. This is the first book in the extracurricular activities book or series. This is about Eric and Nate. They live in a house with 2 other guys. Like, it's on college campus, so they're, like going to school, living with the guys kind of thing. This is, there's lots of sex in this book. Lots of sexy times. It's very smutty. I'm going to use that word, smutty. If you're looking for some smut, some male smut, I recommend this book. It was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed their story just in general, regardless of all the sex. And what surprised me, though, was that it's almost like the sex scenes got better and better, if you know what I mean. Like, in some books, I'm just, if there's too much of it, of one thing, it's kind of like, can we move on to the rest of the story? But in this book, I thought it was done really well. It was put as much sexy times as they had. It was done really well, in my opinion. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, like I said, this is between 2 guys. Now Nate has been, I guess, bi-curious in some of his growing up. as a teenage boy, I guess. I think he might have experienced something with some guy in high school. But he's had a girlfriend, you know, he's had girls. He's never been with a guy. He's just been with girls, basically. But he had a little something with a guy in high school. But he's always been curious about it, intrigued with it. He thought it was sexy. He thinks about it from time to time. An incident with Eric happens, and we're just taking off. We're just going to get right into it from the first chapter. Going at it right in the first chapter. Like I said, it was it was well done though. I liked their story. I really liked getting to know Nate and Eric and both their personalities, and how well they fit together, and how, you know, at first it was just, okay, this is just we're just friends, we're just experimenting with each other. Eric, on the other hand, is kind of openly gay, or maybe bi. So, you know, he's not rushing Nate. It's, you know, it's not like that kind of thing. He's just like, hey, if you want to, you know, I'm here. He's a college dude. So yeah, so it was fun. But yeah, I really liked how they started to fall for each other, basically. And I really enjoyed how it played out. I think the rest of the books in the series are going to be about some of the other guys that we do meet in the first book. So I'm looking forward to those other guys' stories, because we kind of get a little background from some of the guys in here. So yeah, I'm curious to see what else happens with who. Then I picked up Rock, Paper, Scissors. I was just ready for it. I loved His and Hers so much. I wanted more Alice Feeney. So I loved it. Oh my God, loved everything about this book. I have some tabs marked because they made me feel things. I don't know if infertility is a trigger for anyone, but there's infertility talk in here. But it's done well. I honestly appreciated it, honestly, because a lot of books that have infertility in them all end in happy endings, happily ever after, and that's not the case. I can personally vouch for that. Infertility is not always a happily ever after. So I really appreciated how the author interpreted her story, one of the character stories of infertility, and how it affected the character and what the character went through. I felt for this character. Like this character was me in moments of my life. So I just wanted to mention that. I guess it was sort of a trigger because it kind of brought tears to my eyes, just kind of bringing me back, you know, to those days. It's been so long. It's really not anything I try to dwell on, but it's there. It's still there. It's still something that hurt very, very badly, but I really enjoyed how it was done in this book. I just have to say that. There was also another little part that just made me chuckle. I'm just gonna read you this little part because I just laughed out. It took me a hot minute now to get what was happening or what was being said. But after, I was just like, oh my God, that is just so funny. That it just made me chuckle. So I had to mark it. But it says, I rejected Donna's application. I rejected the next two people who came to see Birdie too, even though one threatened to speak to my manager and the other called me a see you next Tuesday. It took me a moment to be like, called you a see you next Tuesday, and then I was like, oh, see you next Tuesday. I'm not gonna say it on here. I'm not gonna say it on the channel, but I thought that was just funny. I don't know why, it just made me chuckle. But anyway, I'm going on and on about this book. I loved it. 5 stars if you haven't guessed. So we're following Adam and Amelia. And we also get, in between Adam and Amelia telling us their story, we have letters to Adam from his wife. So we're reading these letters. It's kind of like her feelings, and that she feels like she can't tell her husband, but yet she wants to. So she's writing him a letter that he'll never see, kind of thing. You love those. And then we get little chapters later on from a Robin character. So yes, Adam and Emilia, they are married, and things aren't going well. So they go off on, I guess, like a vacation to this like secluded, remodeled church as like a getaway. Anyway, it's very secluded. It's like nothing but snow, and there's the little renovated church to look like a home, maybe like a bed and breakfast kind of thing. But anyway, they go there to spend time and maybe reconnect each other, rekindle their marriage kind of thing. But things don't go as planned. Things start happening. There was a good bit of a ghostly vibe in the book that I was getting. I really appreciated it. I wish I would have known. I would have read this in spooky season, but it had some good spooky vibes going on in here. I wouldn't say that this is, I guess it's a mystery, but to me it was more of a thriller, because the mystery is, it's not really there. There's not really, except for the mystery of like what's going on, what is causing all these little spooky things to happen, and is there someone out there that's like peeping in on them, or is it their imagination? That's kind of the mystery of it. But it's really just like a suspenseful thriller. And when we get to the last part of the book, my mind was blown. This is now my favorite, Alice Feeney. His and Hers was my favorite, but now it is this one. I was just super impressed of this ending. Did not know that's where we were going with the story. Like, even though I wasn't sure like where the story was leading up to, was it just the story of this married couple and they're experiencing these weird things out in this secluded, renovated church? But I enjoyed the story, and then we get to everything unfolding, and it's just like, wow. Loved it. Highly, highly recommend. The audio is fantastic. We get a voice for both Adam and Amelia, sorry. Fantastically done. All the way around. Everything about it. 5 stars. Then I picked up, or I chose to listen to Layla. This is by Colleen Hoover. This is another book that I got for a 2-for-1 credit kind of thing on Audible. Oh no, I take that back. I'm sorry. No, it's available on Kindle Unlimited. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's available through that as well as the audio. So the audio is within the Kindle Unlimited. There are some books in the Kindle Unlimited that you can listen to the audio as well as read the Kindle book. But I chose to listen, of course. The narration was fantastic. Like, I'm trying to find other words, but it was so good. So good, y'all. It's narrated by a man, Brian Paulino. I don't think I've ever listened to anything done by him, but his voice is so like sexy and haunting at the same time. Like, I was into the story. But I will say, in the beginning, I honestly was kind of bored with the story, because he's just telling us about how he met Layla, and how, they ended up dating, but then we get to a part where an incident happens, and Layla kind of changes. Our main character, who we're following, is Leeds. Leeds is telling us the story of Layla, or him and Layla's relationship. And I didn't know where it was going in the beginning. I was like, okay, it's just he's just gonna like tell us like how much he loved her, and this, I don't know. I don't know where we were going in the beginning, but I was kind of bored with it. But then this incident happens, and Leeds takes Layla on, like, I guess like a little getaway to go back to the place where they fell in love, to maybe kind of get her back to herself, feeling better. But then things start to happen. We're getting more like ghostly things starting to happen. So there's some paranormal stuff going on that I was like so intrigued about. So while we're getting Lee's like telling us this story, he's kind of telling us this story through some, I want to say through someone else, but that's not right. He has someone come in. There's a third party. We don't know who this third party is. We hear of him, like he speaks. We don't know who he is though. We learn later on, but we don't know why Leeds is telling this guy about him and Layla. And then Layla is somewhere, and we don't understand why she is in this predicament. It's so hard to explain. This was such a crazy, like, I didn't know where this was going. And not that I was trying to guess, but it was just like, wow. Another wow moment. So I rated this like 4.5 stars just because like the very first part of the book I just really wasn't into. But then immediately picks up when Leeds, well really when things start happening at this place that Leeds takes Layla to kind of get Layla back to her old self, to kind of like make, again, rekindle their relationship. They're just not married. That's all I can really say. I can't say any more without giving it away, but it's a fantastic story. And I really liked it. I really liked where it went at the end, and I've never read anything I've read something close to it. I'm not going to say what because it'll give it away, but never really read anything like that in like a romance, suspense, paranormal story. I can't say anymore. It was really good. If you haven't read it, read it or listen to it. His voice is amazing. Okay, and lastly, I finished off the Men of Summer series by Lauren Blakely. Winning with Him is the second book, and then All In with Him is the third and final book. I tagged something in this book. I don't know what I tagged, but anyway, 5 stars all across the board, from the half book that we got, Crushing on Him, to Scoring with Him, to Winning with Him, to All In with Him. 5 stars all across the board. I don't want to say too much if you haven't read the series, because all 3 books are about Declan and Grant's relationship, and how it starts to how it ends, and everything in between. The different things that they come across, the different challenges that they come across, from trying to form a relationship within like Major League Baseball. And each character has, well, I would say Declan really has more. He's holding himself back more than Grant is. But with events that happened early on, Grant is kind of like backing away. I don't want to say too much. Anyway, it's just different challenges that they go through within their relationship, the true love that these guys have for each other. Their story was just phenomenal. Lauren Blakely is just knocking it out of the park with her male romances. Like, I can't wait for more to come. I loved all these books. Let's see what I tagged here. I don't remember what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Okay, I thought this was so funny. Grant says this: I closed the thread, clutching my phone victoriously. Take that, weasel face, who's not even worthy of being called a dick, because dicks are awesome. I just thought that was hilarious. And I love that line, and I marked it because it's like, was my favorite line in this book that Grant spoke. Grant is very funny. I did end up listening to these last 2 books. I read the first 2 or one and a half. But then I ended up listening to these because of the narrators, which were Teddy Hamilton and Jacob Morgan. They are a dynamic duo when it comes to male-male romances. They also do male-female romances, but their voices are just fantastic. And the way that they interpret the character is phenomenal. I just, like, Grant and Declan just like bounced off the pages while I was listening to their story. But yeah, I thought that was so funny because it can be true. Okay, y'all, that is it for the month of November. So what I said, I had like nine books read / listened to in the month of November. It was a good month though. I didn't read anything below a 4-star. Nothing below a 4-star in the month of November. I was doing good. Hopefully this winning streak will keep going. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you are enjoying all the Vlogmas videos that are happening. I've been having fun filming them. But I hope you're having a great holiday season so far, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.